Greetings, Universus Players, and welcome back to another video. This time I'm trying something a little different. We have been in a bit of a transitionary period for a while when it comes to Universus. We have a lot of cards coming in, but we also have a lot of cards that are leaving our card pool. And that's something that I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about. This time around, I want to start with 10 cards from Set 1 that I will not miss. I am not sad to see these go in any way, shape, or form. I never want to see these cards again in my life. And that can be for a lot of reasons. Some of them are very powerful. Some of them are just things that are not a fun play experience. It's a lot of reasons, but we can kind of get into those as we go through the list. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right. I'm going to start with some honorable mentions, and we're going to start with one that might be a little controversial, and that's Apathetic. I will not miss this card. I am eager to see it go. What's that? Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, I hear someone in my house just baby crying about this.
You're so young!
Yeah, I'm not going to miss this card, especially if it garners that kind of reaction.
Why was the good die young?
Oh, quiet, Levi. Anyway, I'm not going to miss this card. This card is a... It feels like a necessary evil in a lot of ways. It flips things on your rival's stage, and I just don't like my stuff being flipped. I play expensive cardboard. I don't like seeing my expensive cardboard face down. That's just not why I come to the table to play this. So, good riddance, Apathetic. I'm not gonna miss you. The second card that falls into my honorable mentions list that I'm not gonna miss at all is Passing the Torch. This card has been warping for these three symbols, and it really stifled a lot of creativity with deck building. So this is definitely a card that I don't want around anymore. It just doesn't spark joy. It feels like a deck building tax in a lot of ways, but it's also so good. It's hard not to play this card. So I think that this is a card that, for the health of the game, it should just stay out. I don't think it needs to be here anymore. All right, boys, I'm going to start with the elephant in the room. Jiro's got to go. I am not going to miss her at all, ever. She has been a terror on our competitive format for the entire lifespan of the MHA set. And this many free stats is just, it's too much. This character is very strong. We've been waiting to see what happens. We've been expecting her to get banned for a long time in a lot of ways, and obviously that never occurred. But this is a way to get her out naturally and not have to deal with it anymore. I don't think that this was good character design, to be quite frank. I don't think it's bad per se, but it's too much for free. There's a lot of stuff that in this game you should have to work for, and Jiro doesn't have to work for anything. She just gets to do all of her stuff and barf damage. And thinking about that from not only a competitive player perspective, where the stakes of my tournament are entirely on whether or not Jiro draws enough attacks. There's not much I can do about that. But also thinking about that from a new player perspective. A new player at your locals shows up, and their first round opponent is Jiro. They're not going to enjoy that. They're going to get blasted, and it's going to take about 20 to 30 minutes at most for the entire match. And then they're going to be sitting there going, what did I do wrong? And the answer is nothing. This character just does that to you. And that's just not a good play experience. Which brings me to the next card. In the same vein as Jiro, I feel the exact same way about Tokoyami. Tokoyami is a character card that has been a boogeyman for a lot of the game's history at this point, and he just does things for free, and that's not the way that things should really go. We want to have costs to things. We want to be able to kind of control that element of things, and he does just get to blow you up for free sometimes, and that's just not a fun experience. I'm not gonna really be a broken record here, but those two characters, for the same reasons, I'm not gonna miss having those in the format. Following up, I am going to move on to the attacks, and I'm gonna start with Electric Jolt. Electric Jolt is just free momentum, and that's not... Electric Jolt is not a fun card to play around, because there is an inevitable conclusion to this card, and that is I take at least one, and at the end of the turn it goes into your momentum, and you use it to commit my best thing. And that's not a fun or exciting gameplay loop. It just doesn't enhance my game in any sort of way. Its symbols are obnoxious because this card exists, and it feels like it's mandatory to play it. It feels like I can't play a strong deck on the air, chaos, or order symbols without 4 of this card in my deck, and that's kind of stifling. I would rather play other interesting things than this card that has an uninteresting gameplay loop, but I have to play it if I want to win games, and that's not the kind of experience I'm looking for. In a similar way, Zero Gravity Lift has a similar offensiveness level to me. This card just kind of allows you to cheat progressive in a lot of ways. It's a throw, which is obnoxious on its own. It's a lot of things that don't make a pleasant gameplay experience. This is not a fun card to interact with. There's not interesting things going on. 90% of the time, when my rival plays this card, they just jam it into their card pool. They go, I checked a 5, I'm going to pass Enhance. That's not fun. That's just boring, and that's why I don't like this card. That's why I don't want it around anymore. I want things that foster more fun play experiences. Speaking of unfun play experiences, the final attack on this list is Tongue Whip. This card is not particularly fun to stare down because once you see the first one, most of the time you are going to see a second and potentially a third, and that's usually what kills you. I don't have a problem with big bomb kill cards. That's not my complaint with this one. My complaint with Tongue Whip is that this card fosters a gameplay loop where you are waiting to see multiples of this card and then you play them. You generally don't play a single Tongue Whip on its own unless you just are forced to for some reason. And that leads to games where it's just, I hope you had 3 low blocks, dummy, guess you'll die. And that's just not a pleasant gameplay experience. Additionally, similarly to Electric Jolt, this feels mandatory on its 3 symbols, and that is a deck building restriction I don't enjoy. I would rather have options that can do similar amounts of damage or stuff the card pool if that is the kind of gameplay that I'm looking for. I don't necessarily want a card that does both, because if we have cards that do everything, it removes uniqueness in deck building, and that's something I don't enjoy seeing in this game, where the deck building is so cool and so fun. So for that reason, I'm excited to see Tongue Whip leave the card pool. I never want to see this green abomination again. Now we'll move on to the foundations, and I'm going to open up with It Can't Be Fixed. This card has basically made the stun keyword irrelevant by itself to begin with, and then we got more other options. The good symbol basically cannot be stunned because this card and a few others exist. And this is just the most staple of staple zeros that you can play on these 3 symbols. It's very hard to not play this card, and it's not fun. It just sits there until your rival does a thing. Deterrence is not interaction, and that is a complaint that I have about cards like this. So I would rather see things that interact rather than just punish my rival for playing the game and using all the cool parts of their cool cards. yes, there needs to be something that counteracts stun, but it shouldn't be something that's the only thing that it does. That should be an incidental part of the card design of other cards, and it should have a deck building restriction beyond just being there. This being on a 0 means that you have stun hate for free, and your stun hate should come at a deck building cost. That is a thing that should exist because stun is an integral part of the game. It is what makes some attacks and some strategies very cool. So you should need to pay a cost for that, or it should exist on other cards in addition to other abilities. So for that reason, I'm excited to see It Can't Be Fixed go. Another offensive 0 to me is Requesting Assistance. This card's boring. It is just do generically good thing. And yes, it's very clutch, but it's on 3 symbols that have things that can be committed or want to commit their own foundations while attacking you and have this to re-ready their board defensively. And that just leads to lower punish windows. If we are looking at UVS like it is a fighting card game, Requesting Assistance mitigates punish windows, and punish windows are a big part of that kind of game. We should still have some sort of punish window. If my rival overextends, there shouldn't be easy ways to recover from that. And this card carries that offense like a torch, and it is a thing that stands out on my rival stage that they just get to ready things for free, and I'm not into it. Next, we're gonna go to Kaminari's buddy, Mineta, and we're gonna talk about Sticky Balls. And I hate that sentence, because this card is just not fun. It is, it's good design. I can at least grant that. It plays into what this character wants to do, but the fact that it is capable of doing so in any character and feeds into a gameplay loop that isn't necessarily available to all characters is something that I find annoying. This is probably one of the cards that I find least offensive on this list. It does have a lot of things going for it, that it is a very good card, but it's also a card that you just kind of get to shove in every deck on these 3 symbols for free, and it's not a deck building cost. You just get to play this one copy of this unique foundation and do the Mineta thing for free. Or reduce the speed of this non-ranged attack by 4. Like, both of these are good abilities. They're not particularly exciting. This card is just, it's annoying, but it's not problematic. I would just rather see something else or something more interesting available to us that we can play around with. Moving on from Sticky Balls, I'm going to go to a card that I do find particularly offensive, and that is Release. Release allows you to get away with murder on your turn, consequence-free. And that's not the kind of gameplay loop that this game is designed for. One of the things that is so important about games is punish windows, and minimizing that punish window, making it so that I can't punish the air, chaos, and life symbols for overextending because they have a release or, God forbid, 2 on their board, just makes it unfun. It makes it so that I can't play into the core gameplay loop of playing attacks on my turn because they're just going to defend against everything. Now I have to sculpt in situations that I don't necessarily want to. I can't necessarily push through 2, God forbid, 3 releases in a turn. Yes, it's going to decimate my rival's stage in order to block everything while doing that, but if I have to decimate my own stage by turning it all sideways, it accomplishes the same thing for them and they get to kill me for free. And that's just not a fun thing to work around. This card changes the calculus of so many turns that it's just not a fun play experience for your rival to have a release on board. Meanwhile, when you have a release on board, it feels so safe. I feel untouchable when I have 2 releases. No matter how many foundations I have, I will go down to 3 foundations. I'll just build a new stage and just keep blocking. I feel safe doing that, and that's why I don't like this card. It fosters passive play, and I don't like that. Next, and to round out the list, is Rescue Completed. This is another card that is offensive to me in a similar way that Release is. It fosters relatively passive play, but it also gives you a way to reward aggressive play. It does too many things for not enough cost, and that's one of the major downsides of this card. I don't like seeing it on my rival's board. I love to see it on my board, and that's kind of like the running theme. A lot of these things are cards that we play because we know they're powerful, but they're things that when our rival builds them, we go, oh crap, how do I get around that? What is my plan for this? And that is a part of the game, but that shouldn't be every single game that I sit down to play. There should be a lot of things going on that present unique challenges, not necessarily the same challenge every game back and forth. I'm not looking to solve the Rescue Completed Release challenge in every single game once my rival builds both of those, because that's just not fun. It is my rival pressing a lot of buttons and doing a lot of things, and me having to work way harder than I should in order to bypass. It's not even bypassing defense. It's in order to mitigate their defense and accelerate my offense. But they just get to defend everything for free, and that's not the way that this should function. There should be costs. And for that reason, I just don't like these cards. These are the cards that just really grind my gears when it comes to Set 1, and I'm so glad they're leaving. Set 1 brought a lot of really good stuff to the table for us as players, but it equally brought some bad experiences too. Damn it, Cat. And there you have it, Universus Players. That's my list of 10 cards from Set 1 that I will not miss. I definitely am not excited to see all of Set 1 go, but there are parts of it that I am. I really like things that foster creativity, and I like things to be costed. I don't like doing things for free in pretty much any game. I think there should be a give and a take. And that's kind of reflected in the takes that I made here. Some of them are pretty hot takes. I can't deny that. And I'd love to hear your opinions about cards that you don't want to see anymore in the comments below. Let me know how you feel about that. Subscribe for more, and until next time, just watch me.